Hello, good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Fatma Keshk. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the French Institute of Oriental Archaeology and the Polish Center for Mediterranean Archaeology. I'm talking to you from Cairo in Egypt. The title of my presentation today is Learning by Doing, Engaging with Communities Through Heritage in Egypt. So since 2007, I've been engaged in different projects that aim to engage with different groups of the Egyptian community uh, through heritage in through different applications. At the base, I'm a field archaeologist and Egyptologist, and since 2007, I've been working in different field projects around sites in different areas of Egypt. Specifically here, I show two different examples, one from the north and the other one from the south. From the north is the site of Buto or Tel el-Fara'in in the Western Delta, and the other site is Elephantine in Aswan. And these are the sites that at the beginning shaped my experience as the field archaeologist, and not only this, shaped my experience also to encounter the local communities living in the neighborhoods, in the close neighborhoods of these two very important archaeological sites of Egypt. And where I got to see how the local communities interact with their own local archaeological heritage, and how also the different nature of each site, of each geographical area, impacts the reaction of the local communities around this site. Where we can see, for example, in the Western Delta, where the archaeological site on the photo up on the left is behind the wall that we can see in the background. And just beside, we see the local a group of the local inhabitants working in their fields. And not in direct contact or not in direct connection with the local archaeology, despite the fact that the archaeological research discovered an interesting point of continuity, which are the pottery kilns from the Greco-Roman times. That prove a continuity through the still existing pottery workshops at 20 kilometers away from the archaeological sites that are still using many of the ancient traditions and techniques of manufacturing pottery. Whereas this connection is not directly clear for the local inhabitants, and also not clear for other groups of the audience all over Egypt. Where in the other case study of Elephantine, if we look at the Google Maps photo, we see the archaeological site in the very close vicinity of the modern village, and where people are, I would say, more connected to their archaeological heritage, because they pass through it every day, they see it every day, and they have a different sense of connection if we compare this to the inhabitants of Kafr Sheikh area, or the inhabitants living in the close vicinity of Buto that we saw in the first case study. Another important experience that made me think of how to elaborate and how to work on engaging the local inhabitants living in the surroundings of the archaeological sites to their own archaeological heritage happened in a very specific, in a site with a very specific nature in South Sinai, which is Sarabit al-Khadim. Where the remains of the ancient Egyptian mining expeditions are still very strong through many steles and many different offerings that were offered to the goddess Hathor, the local ancient Egyptian goddess of this place, and where people are still going to visit this archaeological site that is specially kept and well preserved, and being the visitors being guided by the local inhabitants there, as we can see on the photos. Photos since the 1970s and the 1960s that show the members of the local village guiding the visitors up to the temple that is located on a height of 800 meters above sea level, and where the inhabitants look at this heritage as their own property and as their own local inheritance that they are very proud of, that they take the people and show them around. We were lucky to work on a 4 years project to enhance these connections between the inhabitants and their heritage by giving them some more tips that we studied about this heritage as professionals, and also by establishing a visitor center where members of the local communities would still work as local guides to the visitors that would like to know more about this important area of Sarabit al-Khadim. This takes me to how these experiences pushed me, myself and other colleagues, to try to develop this type of work that aims to strengthen the connections between different groups of the community and the local heritage, by asking ourselves what are the best practices and what is the best way to start a project at an archaeological site or a heritage area or a historic site, by asking ourselves who is the community and why are we here as professionals and what is the objective of the project. And more importantly, who is the audience? Is the audience groups of the children, groups of the youth studying at the university, groups of the local administrators of the area? Who is the audience, so that we can develop activities and projects that have components that suit the type of audience. I got the chance to develop this work in different sites all over Egypt through different activities in Asyut, in Rashid, in Sinai again, in Cairo, my hometown. And in 2019, I got the chance to establish an initiative called The Place and the People that highlight that the components of the local heritage is actually the place, and it should be strongly and always connected to the people living in this field. Throughout the activities of this initiative, we try to have connections and have activities with different groups of the audience through different themes of the activities that we offer. So we have monthly lectures offered to the audience through having different objectives. Like here, we have the 3 examples of our 3 monthly series. So the first series is the people and heritage. The second is Egyptology bil-Arabi, or Egyptology in Arabic. And the fourth is Cairo, people and stone. The third, I'm sorry. So for Egyptology bil-Arabi, we wanted to offer a simple component that can present to the Egyptian audience and the non-specialists audience, but also specialists are very welcome to attend. Different themes that can explain Egyptological knowledge in a simple Arabic language in order to fill in the gap of limited component in books or in lectures or in different things that can be offered to the audience that really need to be strengthened through this type of activity. So every month we have a different lecture on a different theme, and these are the examples of the different themes that we discussed. The art, the food in ancient Egypt, the religions, and we keep on choosing different themes every month. Another series is People and Heritage, where we invite experts of working in different areas, like here, journalism, for example. What is heritage journalism, and presented to the audience. Our other activities include our workshops with the children in different heritage areas of Cairo or other governorates. Here is the example of our workshop in Souq al-Salah area with a group of children and their mothers in 2021 called From Cairo's Window. A similar workshop we held in 2019 in Rosetta, where we try to engage with a group of young students about their local heritage, the tangible and the intangible heritage, by having each of them creating his or her own flyer about the components of this heritage, but with also having live presentations of local craftsmen explaining the local crafts of the town or the city of Rashid. Last but not least, was our workshop in February 2022 on the occasion of the bicentenary of the decipherment of the Rosetta Stone. Again, in Rashid, a workshop done in collaboration with the National Museum of Rashid, where we engaged with the children and the participants of the workshop through different narratives and the significance of the Rashid and the Rosetta Stone by explaining different stories and that aim to highlight how they perceive this this important local heritage that they own. By these examples, I try to present to you how these different activities and experiences through the years help shaping some potential in our ongoing work to engage with the local communities in Egypt by strengthening the connections that already exist between the place and the people and their own local heritage. Thank you very much.